future is now.
Broadcasting from the Queen City, breaking down business, leadership, community, and family. Here's your host, the president and CEO of the Northern Cincinnati Foundation, Aaron Satzker.
The future is now.
You are by far the most philanthropic, giving person I know in Greater Cincinnati. And I just have to say, it's an honor to have you on What Gives Today. Bill McCloy and Jenny McCloy, who's not with us today, but you just amaze me. Can you tell our audience a little bit about you and kind of where you came from in Cincinnati?
Yeah, I actually was born in Ridgewood, New Jersey. So it's pretty wild. My parents were both from Detroit, moved to Delhi. Mm-hmm. No one does that. Where they had 5 kids.
Okay.
He was with Anaconda Wire. He got promoted to New York, moved there with 5 kids, and 2 more, myself and my sister, were born in Ridgewood, New Jersey. And in 1962, he got promoted again and moved back to Cincinnati and moved back to Delhi.
How old were you?
No one does that.
No, but I love that.
So I
That's
was 2 years old.
Unique.
I was 2 years old.
Okay.
McAtee was a club that I belonged to, and my father was a 5-time club champ there in the 50s.
Are you serious?
No, he's second
How did I
most
not know this?
Yeah, I know. And I have actually been a member at McAtee for 60 years.
Oh, my goodness.
So they rejoined in 1962, and I joined as a full member in 1987, the year I got married as well. But pretty much grew up in Cincinnati, grew up in the West Side. And I went to school at Ohio State.
Okay.
And graduated in 82, and just first job was with selling dictation equipment to attorneys.
Okay.
Pretty interesting. In Northern Kentucky, most of the deals I was doing with lawyers was in bars in their office. But no, I started actually. My father and my brother started the company in 1985. I joined them shortly after they began as a salesperson. So I joined, my father and my brother started the company. I joined shortly thereafter in 1985. My father passed away in 90, a little early. Had some struggles with both alcohol as well as heart. And at the ripe age of 29, I was thrusted into taking over, at the time, 3 older brothers working for me, which was interesting. And so really, that's kind of where my professional career really started. And you hear the phrase "make it" or "fake it till you make it."
Yeah, I know that one well. Bill.
Yeah, I did that. I did that for 6 months. I was a sales guy, salesman at heart.
Yes.
My degree at Ohio State was marketing, business administration, but in a new role now. President of a small little company. I went to fundamentals. I got there early. I stayed. I was the last one to stick around, stayed late, and really just focused on fundamentals. I joined a Vistage group in 1997.
Really?
Yeah. It was back then called Tech. Okay. And I was actually a member there for almost 20 years.
Wow.
They were kind of like my board of advisors. It was nice.
It's good to have a group of peers probably to bounce growth off of, right? With entrepreneurs and
growth. You've got, just to your point, it's typically small companies that don't have board of directors. Mm-hmm. We didn't have a board of directors. Really didn't have, you hear the phrase lonely at the top. Yeah. Really didn't have anyone to interact with. And so the Vistage was a really great outlet for me, a great resource. We'd have speakers. I became really kind of, actually enamored with Stephen Covey, 7 Habits. Became my Bible, so to speak, in regards to business. And so I grew a lot. And in 1998, we were approached by a Square D, Schneider Electric, and Eaton Corporation. And my mom, who is still around, really didn't have a whole lot. When my father passed, I found the checkbook. I almost cried because I started thinking about the times I asked for $50 for beer money up at Ohio State. And had I known then what I knew, I found out then, I would, oh my gosh. And so it was a great opportunity to provide my mother with something she never had, financial freedom. So in 1998, we sold our company to Square D, Schneider Electric. I worked there for a couple years and ran North American service operations. Continue to stay active, involved in Vistage. And I stepped down from there in 2000, and I had a 2-year non-compete. So it was actually perfect timing. My wife had just had our 4th child, and I was traveling all the time. So I came home and I said, "Hey, you doing?" Her eyes were going, "That's so good." And so, God does things for a reason. So I actually spent then a year at home with my kids and my wife. I was doing some consulting, and then 9/11, I ended up buying a motor repair shop and converting the name from Cincinnati Electric to CE Power, and from there, again applying some of my experience at Vistage. I had it was a very who's who. In our group over the years I was there, you had everyone from Laura Brunner was in our group to Pete Settle to Tim Mattil to I throw these names out there because these are all very successful people. And it was kind of infectious in Vistage. So it was a great experience. I watched a couple of people roll their businesses up, which gave me the motivation to saying, I think we can do this with CE Power. So in 2000, 10 days before 9/11, we started CE Power. Stayed focused on the fundamentals. Very proud both in 98 as well as this. We set aside equity in the organization for the employees so that we have one of the things that, people say, so what do you attribute success to? I don't know. I would say one of the things that worked very well for us is that we didn't really have employees. We had partners. And by having what we did is I said, here's the deal, gang. You're going to get annual bonuses based on performance, but you're only going to get half in cash and half in deferred comp or power stock. We called it power stock, which is phantom stock. And there's some people who said, I'd rather just have the cash. And I respected that. But I can tell you this, both in 98, 2015, and 2021, probably combined 75 people got the biggest paycheck in their life. And I was pretty excited about that. And it also created an environment where you really had partners. So kind of an aspect of my business background, a big proponent of, you hear companies like in Cincinnati, Messer Constructions and ESOP.
Yes, it is.
And there's, that to me, in a lot of ways creates a really great environment of collaboration and partnership because we're all in it together. Yeah,
I really do. I know a couple Messer employees, and they do say that.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Best man at my wedding, just retired COO, Mark Lugering. And prior to him, the guy who really led Messer to some great growth is Pete Strange, who's done a lot. And Kathy Daly, who was, she just retired as well. So big fan of that organization, big fan of the concept of employee ownership. It's worked well for me as well. So we went out and put a book together and ran a process. And as I said, we ended up selling in 2015. And we basically, myself and my team, rolled back in so we can carry it on. I had a little bit of a hiccup. I had a little 4 stents put in my chest.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I was watching my youngest daughter at Weather Wax in 2015, 6 months after we had done our deal. And our game plan was to make an acquisition every year.
Okay.
And we did. But needless to say, there's a lot of pressure. I was at Weather Wax. My daughter had just received recognition as the GCL Player of the Year in golf.
She really?
Oh, yeah, she was Ursula's number one player.
GCL, let's get it right.
There you go, yeah. And she was, she just actually had her worst round. And I kid around. I said, Olivia, you gave me a heart attack.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate, though. Blessed. I was with the Guptas, who Shannon's a doctor. Her husband's a cardiologist.
Yes.
So I was at Weather Wax. And the time was unbelievable because the following day, while I was in the hospital recovering from the stents, there was my golf clubs had made it to Bandon Dunes. Mm-hmm. So I got a text message, hey, your clubs have arrived. If you're familiar with Bandon Dunes, if it's out in Oregon and it is in the middle of nowhere and 6 hours from anywhere. So had I gotten on that plane and got out there and had what I had, which I was 98% blocked in the Widowmaker and 90, yeah. After going and having all these tests done, I said, my wife said, you look bad. Anyhow, survived it well. Shandon, his husband, Sandeep, was my cardiologist at the time. And I was fortunate to survive that. But it made everyone nervous within both my Visage group and the company. And so I set a succession plan out so that it'd be retired in 2018. But, all along, I think the lesson learned from there is take your medicine. I stopped taking statins when I was 50 and because I didn't like what they did to me. And I thought I could change things with exercise and diet. P90X did all this stuff. But I will tell you this, it's, you gotta look at the genetics and you gotta make sure you take your meds.
Yeah, it's good to see how this all unfolded. I had no idea that you were in Jersey, then West Side, and that you had been this Makatiwa member for so long, which is very impressive that, like, your dad, you said 5-time
club champ?
Club champ.
He's
That's
second most club champs behind Tony Boom. Yeah, he was an only child. It was interesting. Yeah.
So tell me about philanthropy, because you and Jenny do so much to give back. You kind of have this philosophy that I think you need to share with people and entrepreneurs. I know I've heard it, and I just love, so walk us through, one, your philosophy on giving back. And I've heard you say it's like your duty as an entrepreneur to give back and make this impact. But then also, like, how did you become so philanthropic? Because it impresses me that you do so much to give back.
Well, thanks, Aaron. I don't know if we do that much, but I will say that
you do.
Yeah,
I'm gonna stop you right there.
Okay.
You do. Accept the compliment. We're
All right, thank you. Well, I would say a couple of reasons. I would say that motivates us to do what we do. I would say that the coming from virtually nothing. I mean, my wife reminds me that when we got married, she had $3,000 in cash in the bank, and I had a $5,000 credit card balance. Our first home was on Delhi Pike, and so it was a constant reminder of where we came from. But I have to tell you, I don't think we're any different than most people. We have 4 children, been blessed with 4 beautiful children. Our oldest son, Sam, was born in 94, November 6th. And he was, originally, I figured it right away, he has Down syndrome. And I think that, and I look back, that was for a reason. We are faith. We do believe in Jesus Christ, and we do believe in God as our Savior. And I think that it was His way of telling us that we have some work to do because of those who don't have. So I think to answer the question, what's motivated us? Why do we do what we do? I have to say it's got to probably start with Sam. And not only that, what he's done with our kids. So our kids, the rest of the kids are just so much more sensitive, so much more attuned, so much more than any of us would be without, if they didn't have the experience they did with their brother Sam. Right. So I think that's Sam's gift to us, is to bring to light the need for us to, where we can, support those who can't support themselves. So that's the kind of thing that we talk about underserved. That's a very common used word these days. I am on a mission to make sure that the underserved is inclusive of not just minorities, but also people with disabilities, but also people that frankly are just underserved. And let's face it, there's quite a few. So Sam's been our motivation without question. I think we're probably pushed me to where I'm at today as far as trying to build this community and build a community that supports adults with disabilities is watching Sam play Challenger baseball in Hamilton, Ohio in 1999 or 2000 or so. And I just thought to myself, look at all these other families. We've got to do more. So that's honestly, it's being blessed with some business success and then having Sam be our motivation. It's probably why we do what we do.
And I love that about you guys. I want to talk a little bit about your big vision, your legacy. Obviously, you hold a fund at Northern Cincinnati Foundation, the McCloy Family Foundation. Talk a little bit about, how that fund came to be. I think it was through the business sale, right?
Yeah.
And so that process, and then also what you see in the future for your giving and kind of like your BHAG on your legacy, because I know it, but I think it's good to get that message out there on what you're trying to accomplish. So
it's a good question. I mean, I'm hoping that we can expand the foundation and we are, I have some really bad investments, but I have some couple good ones that might just pan out. Yeah. But I would love to see that happen. I'm actually even contemplating in some ways going back to business, but the nonprofit world can be pretty brutal and pretty frustrating. But we have intentions right now. We actually have I have an organization that's actually a person that's working with my kids to inject them into this process. So rather than Jenny and I, we're going to have our kids kind of make the decisions of where the foundation, what they're going to do, how we're going to do it. So that's another
By
example.
the way, so many people do that. That's how I plan to have mine set up too. Have my daughter, Mary Alice, and William decide where should grants go, because then you're bringing them along in the, philanthropic process. They're learning to give back. So I commend you on that.
No, there's some selfishness behind it. Honestly, there, and the selfishness is that maybe this is a great way of me and making sure that they get together every year.
Yeah.
Because right now we have them spread out in Seattle, Chicago, Denver. So, and I'm, and from a selfish standpoint, I would love to sit there and see, at least besides just Christmas or whatever, all my kids come together and basically work on a project, work on something that's really going to make them better people.
Right.
And I think that's
something that they obviously have passion for.
Yep. So we're hoping to grow it. We're hoping to
it's great.
Expand. And that's another thing too. I'm in a men's group, believe it or not. Makatiwa has a men's group. One of the guys asked is, as long as you're doing it for the right reason.
I also think it takes a little bit of leading by example. My friends, Bill and Jenny McCloy, are giving XYZ to this group. Wow, isn't that incredible? You know what? We should make sure we're giving back too. Right. So I think that that's important. But yes, there are plenty of people that give anonymously and quietly. And, we have anonymous funds named, a different name that you would never know who it was or who it is. And so it just depends on the person.
Right. There is, again, I wouldn't say selfishness, but it's amazing what you get back by giving.
Yeah.
So I think there's
I think it makes you feel like you're a part of a community, right? And that you're helping make an impact, maybe generationally for somebody or somebody's family. And you get that dopamine impact of, wow, it does feel good to give, whether you're doing it through acts of service, right, at the food kitchen or the food bank or Down Syndrome Association through one of their events or, LAD, whatever it may be, whether you're giving time, talent, or treasure, it all makes you feel good at the end of the day to give back and know that you're trying to make a difference, right?
Right. And I think it's exactly right, to make a difference and help those who can't help themselves. I believe that what we're trying to do is going to also be spill over into the mental illness side of the equation. I think you're going to see it. You're seeing it now. I think people that are homeless, lion's share of people that are homeless or even incarcerated are mentally ill.
Yes.
I think we do a horrible job of addressing that. And I see, for instance, Seattle, believe it or not, they're building stick homes. I told my youngest son, I said, I'll pay one of his month's rents if he does a little research and gives me a report on what Seattle's doing. And they're actually building stick homes in pods to help with the homeless. And I think New York City is trying to look at doing some of these things. These are agencies or governments that probably don't align with where I fall in the political approach, but it's a good example of, it isn't bipartisan. It isn't a partisan issue when it comes to housing for people who can't help themselves.
So tell me about your big goal. You talk about Sam and the greater vision, and I know that I've heard what you're looking to do, but share with us kind of your overall goal of what you're trying to accomplish.
Well, I think I've been to almost a dozen communities throughout the United States, from Jacksonville, Florida to Chicago to Frankfort, Kentucky to Sonoma, California, Atlanta. And it's really neat seeing these communities where people who really don't have the resources to help themselves, who need interaction, need support, maybe sometimes 24/7 support. I guess from my perspective, my big goal is that our community, Southwest Ohio, call it what you want, this area really needs to have at least one community that provides these kind of support services in a congregated setting that provides interaction as well as shared services. That's my goal. That's our goal. I think that's where we'd like to see our efforts put forth, and so it's something that's been done all over the country, and we're planning on doing it here.
Yeah, I think that's a great goal. I know that when I see the passion that both you and Jenny have, I'm just amazed. I think that you guys can absolutely accomplish this with your focus, your drive. I know she's obviously very well dialed in too. And I think this is a great goal. And like you said, even for your kids to then get involved and rally around this cause, lift it up. Like you said, you visited many other facilities that are doing just this, and they're great. And so I really, Northern Cincinnati Foundation, we're happy to be a partner in that initiative because it's a really important cause. And so I love that you're doing this. And, I just don't know that many. I know so many great donors, but you guys do so much on an annual basis for what you hold near and dear. And so I'm commending you on that.
Well, thank you, Aaron. I commend Northern Cincinnati Foundation too, as far as the growth. I think that what you guys have done in the last 5 years, I think how long has the organization been around for now?
1999.
I was going to say 1999.
Yeah, my mom actually wrote the articles of incorporation for the foundation, and was on part of the kitchen table group. So it kind of cracks me up that it came full circle here. And we serve so many families that are in this area of the city: Indian Hill, Madera, Montgomery, Blue Ash. And then, of course, on up to Mason, Loveland, Westchester, Liberty, and frankly, on up to Springboro, Middletown. And so we're really casting this web of I think people that like a flexible foundation. We're here to help support you.
Right.
And we're going to help you work through this math problem of how are we going to accomplish our legacy goal for Sam, in perpetuity. You guys are trying to tackle that. And I think it's our job to help open those doors where we can and make connections where we can. And so we're happy to do this for you because it's a really great, worthy cause.
Well, you guys, and again, you guys have been great. You've been very, very helpful. Yourself, Nancy, the rest of the team has been doing a great job in supporting our needs, and even giving us some ideas and recommendations or what else we can do. So, and hopefully, and again, our big goal is to build this community. But at the same time, my kids hopefully will have even bigger ideas and ways of trying to improve our world and improve our community.
So, Bill, as someone that's so philanthropic, how do you think now, let's say you're 29 years old, how would you empower somebody that's in their 20s or 30s to give back, make an impact? And like, how would you suggest that the philanthropic world gets through to them to motivate them to do things that like you're doing?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would suggest, because you know what, you want, you don't always want something in return. At the same time, my recommendation would be get involved with your company, the company you work for. Check out what they do from a community standpoint. It's an opportunity, one, to show the people that you work with what's important to you. But it also, more times than not, it's going to impress the people that you're working for.
Right.
So you get two things. You do something good for someone else. At the same time, you get some kind of benefit of someone seeing that you're that type of person. So I think that would be my recommendation. If someone wants to give back and get involved, I would look through your own organization first, and then the rest of that would, I guess, if that's not an option, I'd say look inside, look in the mirror, look in your family, look in your extended family, and maybe there's some kind of motivation there or some kind of situation there that would probably say, man, if I spend some time in this, I can make a difference. Mm-hmm. Or if I gave to this, I can make a difference. And so it's kind of new to us. I mean, if you look at the history of money and families with money, there's a lot of families that spend a lot of time and effort trying to educate their children and the next generation on how to do that. And something that's new to us, but that's really what we're doing, because our children are going to, I think, be fine as far as financially, and I'm hoping that they are positively influenced by recognizing that they are blessed and that they have an obligation to give back.
Yeah, I love that, an obligation to give back. I mean, I think we all should have that at some level, right? Whether it's bringing meals to your neighbor that's elderly or something along those lines, just to brighten somebody's day and give back where you can.
Yep.
So let's loosen up a little bit. I want to ask some kind of like rapid fire fun questions for you. So give me a day in the life of Bill McCloy.
Well, I get up, get out of bed.
I saw that espresso machine or whatever. Yeah. You have something in your bedroom?
I'm thinking that Beatles song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it depends. We are actually, our full-time residence is in Florida. Okay. We're in Jupiter, Florida.
6 months in a day?
Well, not really. I mean, we really, it's really not such a tax issue, and we're not so much of that. But we initially started. We wanted to be down there. We chose the East Coast, which is rare for Midwesterners. Usually, everyone's over in Sarasota or Naples. We're over in Jupiter, Florida, but. A lot of golf. I joined a club down there where
some people might play. I've heard. So I think that's the course of some
few players
some
there.
People. Can we like call out what kind of? I mean, that's pretty cool.
It is cool. I actually played golf with Ricky Fowler about a month and a half ago.
Yeah, no big deal.
I was on the putting green talking to Brooks Koepka about how the club upset him, but he's kind of a malcontent, but it's all right.
I was going to say, what's your gin? What's your?
Well, that's a problem. I have a 3.9 handicap, which is way low. It's too low. Normally,
I heard you shot a 73 the other day.
I did. And everyone heard about that. But so yeah, it's a lot of golf. But I would say a normal day in my life is again I have. Pretty expanded investment portfolio there. Mm-hmm. Some companies that I spent some time trying to work with. So I spent a couple hours that, and my wife and I stay active. We try to get our exercises in as well.
That's great.
I will, when I'm up in Ohio, I'll be playing golf this afternoon, playing in a match that excited about. But
where are you guys playing?
At McCloy's Country Club.
Okay.
And that's
I've heard of it.
Yeah, I heard. I'm sure you have. And I've been there for 60 years. I tell people all the time. My father was there in the 50s, and then moved to New York, as I said, when I was born. So we've been there quite a while. And we'll probably head back to Florida in November.
Okay. So then you said your daughter is close, right? She lives down the street, or I know Sam's close too.
Sam's close.
Okay.
But my daughters, no, my one daughter's in Denver. My other daughter's in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
So we are going to Ireland for a father-daughter thing in July. We've been doing it for the last 6 years.
You golf,
5
right?
years. Yeah.
You guys golf together.
Yeah. So the pandemic put a stop for a couple of years, but my youngest daughter and I, Olivia, won the 2018 father-daughter tournament in Waterville, Ireland. So we go back every year. Yeah, it's fun. And
it's so fun for you guys.
And my oldest daughter said, "Hey, Dad, what about me?" So now I have to take both of them. And
good for you.
Yeah.
Does she golf? The oldest?
She does.
Yeah.
She does. She's not quite as good as her little sister.
I think everyone's better than I am. I just can only go.
Well, you just go have fun.
Yeah, that's
Jenny's
right.
the same way. So,
that's right. Well, Jenny and I should play golf together, go to Taylor Swift together,
You can ask her about that. I would work all over that, Aaron. I think that's a good game plan.
Yeah.
But no, I think, and then I'm trying to do more and more. I spend a lot of time. For instance, I'll be having lunches with the executive director of Stepping Stones. Spend a lot of time interacting with St. Joseph Homes, the DSAGC. So a lot of my time is spent interacting, working with some of the nonprofits that focus on people with disabilities.
Yeah,
because that's kind of where my commitment is. So
I think it's a great way to give back when you have the business skills and knowledge to help the boards that you're working on with leadership. And I know our foundation has really benefited from business prowess from different executives in different industries. I will call out Dan Benhays in that. He won't hear this, I don't think, on his morning walks, but I think you are like him and making sure that you're moving the dial forward and really thinking about that overall strategy, right?
Well, that's a nice compliment. Thank you. I'm a big fan of Dan as well. We try to. Look, you ask yourself, look in the mirror, say, what am I to do? What am I here for? And I think that's something I think it's healthy for all of us to ask that on a consistent basis. There used to be a Vistage phrase we used and put it over my desk, and it says, what I'm doing right now, is it the best use of my time? Mm-hmm. It's kind of a question you ask yourself a lot. And, I tell you the truth, and that's probably what's added to my frustration is often I ask that question and I'm not spending, it's not the best use of my time what I'm doing there. And,
right.
And so, but no,
the
life and times of me, I like it. Again, I'm very blessed. I love playing golf.
Yeah.
Love staying exercise. And, I like a cigar or two once in a while on the golf course. So,
right.
I'm no goody two shoes. Everyone knows that. But outside that,
I've heard a couple stories.
Yeah. Well, you grow up, you mature a lot, though, Aaron. It's
yes.
I've had a great time. I've been very, very blessed, very fortunate, and I actually look forward to doing more of that, particularly with my kids. So
yeah, I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I just can't say thank you enough for coming on the What Gives podcast. I mean, we have this. You're a great example, I think, for so many in our region to give back, whether they're running a business, whether it's just that family legacy, right? And so just thank you for coming on What Gives. It's a pleasure to sit down with the most philanthropic donor that I'm working with currently. So
thank you, Aaron.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The future starts right now.
To learn more about how to expand your philanthropy, please reach out to the Northern Cincinnati Foundation. What Gives is produced and distributed by King Hightower Strategies.